week. We're going to start off by describing and visualizing and drawing shapes. And trust me, today is going to be as much of a challenge for me as it is for you. Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have a go at describing different shapes, where one person describes an image and the other person has to draw it. So you have to visualize what's being described and see how accurately you can draw the shape that's being described. Now don't do this one. This is just so you understand how the activity will work. But I'm going to describe some pictures to you, and normally you'll not be able to see them. You can see this one. But if I was describing this picture to you, and asking you to draw it, I might say something like this. Right, I want you to draw a really big square. Okay, have you done that? And you'd hopefully have drawn that square. Of course, you don't need to this time. And then I might say something like this. Okay, I want you to go to the bottom right-hand corner. Now, not right in the corner, just a tiny bit to the left, and draw a very small circle. Now, the circle will touch the bottom edge of the square. It won't touch the right edge. It's almost in the corner, but not quite. And it's about a quarter of the height of the square. Okay, and then you would draw that circle, hopefully. And then I might say something like this. Okay, now go on the bottom edge of the square, almost the left-hand corner, but not quite. It's just a tiny bit from the left-hand edge. And you're going to draw a diagonal line, and that line meets the top of the square, and it's not quite halfway along the top of the square. And then so draw a nice straight line. And then I'd say, okay, right, let's have a look and let's see if your picture is the same as the one that I'm looking at. And that's what the challenge is going to be like. So let's have a go for real. I'm going to describe a shape, and I want you this time to draw it. Now, I wonder how accurately we can do this together. Okay? So what I want you to do this time is I want you to draw quite a long rectangle, long thin rectangle. So the rectangle won't be that tall, but it'll be very long. It's probably 3 times longer than it is tall. Okay? So draw that rectangle now as I'm speaking. There'll be no pause button this time, but do draw that rectangle. Do pause the video if you need a bit of extra time. Okay, I'm going to keep my description going. Now, I want you to go to the bottom left-hand corner of that rectangle, and you're going to start a diagonal line. And the diagonal line goes from the bottom left-hand corner of the rectangle, and it goes to the right-hand side, halfway up the right-hand side. So I want you to draw that diagonal line from the bottom left corner of the rectangle, the long, thin rectangle you've drawn, to the middle of the right-hand edge. Okay, so draw that line. Okay, and when you've drawn that line, there's one other thing that you need to do, which is you're going to go to the top left corner of the rectangle, the first rectangle that you drew. And just above it, you're going to draw a small square. So the square is about half imagine the height of the rectangle you've drawn, the thin part. It's about half that height, so it's a very small square. And it starts on the top left-hand corner and it goes upwards. So just draw that square. Okay, so hopefully now you've drawn a picture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the actual picture that I was looking at and thinking about. How similar are our drawings? Should we see? There. Have a look at yours. Have a look at that one. Did I do a good job in explaining that? Could I have added anything or said something differently? Okay, I think it's time for one more go. Now, I'm looking at a different shape this time. And what I want you to do is draw a very large square. So a nice big square, okay? You can use a rule if you have one, but a nice big square. Okay, now when you've drawn that square, and again, if you need to pause the video at any point, then do. But when you've drawn that square, right in the middle there's a circle. And the circle is, well, it's fairly small, but if we're thinking about the whole square, I would say imagine it in thirds. Or imagine you could fit 9 circles in the square. It would be like you're drawing the middle circle of that square, just the middle one. Okay, so draw that one circle in the middle of your square. Okay, and then when you've drawn that circle, I want you to look at your square and look at the left-hand edge. Now we're going to draw a triangle that goes from the top corner and then there's a diagonal line that goes further to the left, so it's kind of outside of the square. And you're going to draw a diagonal line downwards. Now, actually, what I think I should have done is I should have described this first. Go to the bottom left-hand corner of the square. And I want you to draw a line, a straight line that goes to the left, that kind of continues the bottom line of the square out a little bit, if you like. It'll be about half the length of the square. And I want you to draw a line that just goes to the left, straight along. It's about half the length of the square. So it's like an L backwards. Okay? Now, when you've done that, I want you to go to the corner, the far edge of the L, the left-hand side, and draw a diagonal line that goes to the top left-hand corner of the square. So it'll make another triangle. Okay? So what you'll end up with is, it's like on the left-hand side there's a big triangle, and then that joins with the square, and in the middle of the square there's a circle. Okay, and when you finish, let's have a look. How similar is your picture to this one? How well did you take on those instructions? Oh, how accurately did I describe that? Oh, it's a difficult skill, this, isn't it? Well, I really do enjoy this challenge. Now, normally, at the end of a video, I show you where to find the independent tasks. Today, I actually can't do that because it would kind of give the game away a little bit. But what I want you to do is this. I want you to find someone else to play this game with. Now, it might be you can do it via WhatsApp, or it could be that you could play with, a grandparent over the phone, or maybe there's someone in the house that you can play with. But we need a player 1 and a player 2. Now, underneath the video, you'll find a link where it says player 1 and player 2. If you click on those links, it will open up some different pictures that you can describe. Remember, the rules of the game are, one person describes and can see the picture, another person draws, and then you have to look how similar are those drawings to those pictures. Now, equally, you might not need to use the examples that I've given. You might want to make your own drawing, which is fine. But I hope you get on really well with those, the accuracy of those descriptions, and then in visualising and drawing those shapes. Good luck and enjoy.